Now this like build guide is going to be a little bit different than normal ones because usually they tell you do exactly this, wear exactly this gear, and boom, you're going to be fine. The throw barb is a little bit different. I'm going to be giving you kind of more of the information you need to kind of make your own decisions. I believe that's probably the best way to go, and that's kind of the funnest way, in my opinion. You can kind of tailor your build to what you want to do. Let's go ahead and jump into the stats right off the bat first. Now, you can see this does not look like a standard Vita build. Actually, strength I put nothing into, okay? Actually, dexterity, because this is a ranged character, increases the damage, and it does increase the attack rating as well. So with that, I put, you see right there, the base points is 230, and a dex, it gets to about 300. I just decided to go with that to increase damage and kill speed for the types of things I was doing. I never was really farming anything too crazy. I did dabble, go out and hit Trav a few times in the Chaos Sanctuary to kind of go with it and mess around with it and do a little bit of other stuff. But I did hit Terror Zones with it and things like that. And getting the extra damage I did like. The rest of left over after I put points into that, been dumping into Vitality, boost the life up. The thing is, because it's a ranged character, it's almost, if you put all your points to Vitality, it'd be like having like 7,000 life on a Sorceress. Like, you don't need it. You're standing back and you're casting stuff down. So it's kind of a waste, in my opinion, to go max Vita on a throw barb. You feel free to put your opinions in the comments section, but that's what I feel. You could even put more or less in here. It's all kind of up to you, up to feel, up to your opinion. I did not put anything extra into energy. And you see the resistances are not capped. Once again, I didn't feel it necessary at all with the things I was doing, even running some of the Terror Zones that I enjoy doing, to have them maxed out, because you're sitting back and you're just not really getting hit because you're throwing from so far away. So if you wanted to cap these out, you could pull off some Magic Find, which I have on my character. I'm primarily a Magic Find type of player. So that's what I got. And I only cap out the resistances when I feel it's absolutely necessary. Or maybe if you're making a character that you want to be able to run literally every single location in the entire game, you want to make sure all the resistances are capped out so that you don't get taken out by a crazy amount of poison in, some of them places in Act 2. You don't want to get hit by souls in, the World's Stone Keep or something. You can go ahead and cap that stuff out with either charms or different rare items that you could throw on and swap around to different gear. But I felt it not really necessary running players 1, players 3, things like that I was doing with this particular character. Let's jump over to the skill tree. This is what I went with. I'll try to give you a few other ideas of things that people might want to do depending on what they're doing, while also trying to go quick enough not to bore everybody. So I wanted to get the find item skill higher. We're up at 67% chance. So at about this many base points for me with my plus skills and stuff, that's where each individual point into find item doesn't even give you 1%. You have to put 2 points to get 1%. But because of the find item synergy, I dumped all these 20 points here into the find potion, and you get 1% per that. So we got up to 67% chance. Obviously, we want to get down to battle orders and battle commands. So I just got 1 into battle commands. And because there's 9 base points in this, this is what I put my remaining points. So if I gain another level, I'm going to put another point into battle orders. I gain another one until that gets as high as it ends up getting, as far as I end up leveling up. So that's the last one that I dumped any remaining points that I had in after maxing out some of this other stuff that I'm going to show you. Jumping over to the combat mastery, it's a must to max out throwing mastery. Does so many things. Big important to note and to look at is the chance to pierce on there. It's 49%. It's going to kind of come into play when we take a look at the gear and when you decide what you're necessarily going to wear out of the options that I give you. 1-point wonders, of course, increase stamina, iron skin, increase speed, and natural resistance. Over on the combat skill, see, you actually don't have to put a ton of points in here. And the double throw that you do use, it only has 1 synergy, double swing. So max both of those out. This is just 1 point in a bash to get over to them. And that's all the synergies for double throw. So that's what gives you so many points to, put more stuff into find item, to put more points, into battle orders. If you went into some of the other stuff, maybe you're coming down to Berserk. It does have 2 skills that it needs to synergize with. Whirlwind doesn't have any. That's why it doesn't really get as much damage as it used to. Or Frenzy has a bunch of different synergies, usually just the double swing and taunt they go into. But yeah, double throw, just having the 1 can leave you some more points to really get that find item high without sacrificing a lot of other things. So we'll go ahead now, jump at the gear. Now, like I said, the gear is going to be more me telling you examples and you kind of deciding what you necessarily want to use. Now, I decided, because depending on what you're doing, really ethereal lacerators would be better because the replenished quantity, you don't really have to worry about it. And really throwing items now, with the way throwing mastery was changed for whatever it is, If you max out throw mastery, you'll never run out of your quantity ever. So any throwing item can be ethereal. So ethereal lacerators, these are just standard ones because I didn't have any ethereal on me at the time. But very good, especially for single targets. Having lacerators are great with that amp damage. Sometimes, depending on what you're using, a lot of people do a lacerator and this war shriek or shrike, whichever one you prefer to call it. It's got a lot of deadly strike. It's got the pierce on it, so you'll have one item that will guarantee you pretty much to have a 100% chance to pierce with the skills into throwing and mastery. You remember it was at 49, a couple more points, get it up to 50, and then this is 50, and you could have a 100% chance to pierce with this weapon without having any other items on you that have pierce. So keep that in mind if you want to do that. A lot of people I talk to recommend to go with a lacerator and a war shrike, but it's going to depend on you. I was even using something like this, a demon arch. It's just an option. Rare items can roll really high enhanced damage too, but getting just really anything, these war shrikes, these lacerators, and gimmer shred is another one that I don't have on me right now. Maybe I'll go crazy and throw a picture up right there. I don't know if these were behind my head. My apologies if they were. No, we're all good. We're all good. So those are some good options on the items right here. We'll jump up to the helmet. A couple of different options here. If you need to get the pierce and you want to get cannot be frozen too, great place to get cannot be frozen. Make this wisdom rune word, pull if eld. I made this in our base for a barbarian that had 2 to battle orders and increased speed. So you definitely cannot be frozen. You get a mana leech on there, which this is a great place to get your mana leech taken care of. Attack rating, you get mana after kill, and it's relatively cheap. A pull rune is very obtainable for almost anybody. Go farm one from the Countess in a day, and boom, you got one. You can make it. And you don't necessarily have to make it in a barb base if you want to get this pierce and get this rune word right away. Throw it in a bone helm or something. Throw it in a great helm or a cask or whatever you find along the way. It's all up to you. And that way you could kind of throw it on your other characters if you wanted to get pierce as well. Other options, of course. Ariad's Face is a great option always. This one is chammed for the cannot be frozen. That's a bit hard for a lot of people to get. But just go ahead and Ariad's Face is a great option for any barbarian. Or I was running with a Shaco a lot, especially if I was running places like if I would howl away the monsters and then get Pindle, or if I was running Thresh Shock it, or individual monsters maybe going crazy and hitting, Mephisto or something, where the pierce isn't really going to matter that much to you. And just getting a ton of Magic Find, obviously. Boosting up the Shakos, awesome on a lot of characters. So there's another great option right there. Move over to the Amulet. High Lords is kind of the go-to for melee characters. Not a lot to discuss there. Any of the generic options, a Barb Caster Amulet, like some of the ones I have over here, could be options as well. But High Lords is going to be the best right there. Armor, I got Enigma on, so if so that way I can teleport around. You could definitely do other different types of melee options. You could throw on a Treachery, things like that. But man, all the Magic Find, the faster run, walk, you got all that strength. The teleport, obviously, life after kill, damage reduction, Enigma, GG armor, completely crazy. Laying of Hands, increase attack speed, damage to demons, get that fire res up. Very obvious option, used a ton by melee characters. A couple of rings here. I got some mana leech here and some life leech. These are some solid ones. Attack rating. This one's got a bunch of strength decks. All res. That's just some sick rings. You cannot be frozen here from a Ravenfrost if you want to, but do keep in mind, if you're doing find item, you do not want to have cold damage anywhere, literally nowhere, because if the bodies shatter, you can't find item them, and then that kind of defeats the purpose, right? So that's why getting cannot be frozen from either the Wisdom or a Chammed Ariat is a great choice. Jumping on the belt, I wanted to get is guaranteed over 100% for everything I was throwing. So I do have a Razor Tail on down here. Just the 33% along with the throw mastery wasn't enough to get 100% pierce for the lacerator. So that's what we got up here for 33% chance to pierce, 33. So 66 plus 49 gets us over 100% chance to pierce Razor Tail right there. Obviously, the standard options for Barbarian, whether you're using String of Ears or something like that, another great option with the Life Leech and the damage reduction. But for Throw Barb, I think this is a great spot to throw on a Razor Tail. You could even throw on an Arachnus Mesh for a skill, and if you want to get to a particular breakpoint for faster cast rate for teleporting around, if you want. Over on the boots, I got these for Magic Find. The same as with any type of melee character, I suppose you could throw on Gore Riders or you could throw on Goblin Toes, but I didn't prefer to go that way. I just went with War Travelers here getting 50 Magic Find. These are the max on the Magic Find right there. So over on swap. Now, this is when I am using Find Item, I swap over here to get more plus skills. And then I go ahead and Find Item plus. You find item faster because this is 80 cast rate right here, getting you up over a reasonable breakpoint. So I got 2 of these, Heart of the Oaks right here. You could always throw on Whiz Spikes over here to teleport around at a good speed. And then if you had a caster amulet with 5 cast rate, you'd be hitting the max, the 105 breakpoint anyways for the Barbarian, the max that anyone ever gets to. Teleporting around fast, finding items as fast as you can. And obviously the Suicide Branches is another good option, or if some people like maxing out their find item with the Heart Carvers, but I would say I don't generally ever go with that. So this is probably the best option right there. Hopping down to the charms, obviously Torch and Annie mandatory. I do have a Bone Breaker in here. It's not really necessary, we'll call it. If you know, especially with Lacerators getting amp damage, that kind of breaks their immunity anyways, usually. But throw it down here, it breaks their immunity, then the amp damage probably helps out even more. So I went ahead and threw that in there. And also I was swapping around weapons, and I just kept this in here and kept rolling with it. Just a couple of combat charms. You could even throw a bunch of other stuff. I have masteries down here. We've got war cries, whatever you feel like, but I decided not to throw the other ones in there. Just a few combat ones. You could even pull these out and throw in, you know, max damage charms or MF charms if you want. Geeds, obviously. And I got stacked up down here, Magic Find charms, because I'm primarily a Magic Finder. Like I said, you can make up your resistances in here. You could throw, you know, max damage, attack rating charms to boost up damage if you would wanted to go that route. I decided not to, and I got that right there. Over on the Mercenary, we've got the Might Mercenary to boost up damage there. We've got an Insight here to keep the mana up while when I was teleporting around, when I was using Find Item, I would actually run out of mana. So I threw an Insight on here. We don't need Reaper's Toll to cast on to break immunities and things like that, so we go with that. We got Endarl's Visage and a Fortitude to get his damage as good as possible. This got increased attack speed, all the good stuff. This is pretty standard good stuff here for an Act 2 Mercenary, and I wanted the Might to help out my character. Now, we'll go ahead and take a look now at the advanced stat page. Just real quick, just so you can see, over 300 Magic Find right there. If we go to the opposite hand, we got the 80% faster cast rate and a ton of other stuff here. I'll just scroll real quick over. If you want to pause it and take a look at anything else that you would like to, you can go ahead and take a look at that. So there you go. I set it to players 3. I mean, most anything in the game can kill stuff on players 1. We'll go ahead and go to players 3, and we'll go ahead and jump out to kind of a stereotypical place to take a melee character to test it out. Why don't we head out here to Eldritch and Shanka. Let's go ahead and find Eldritch, and we'll chuck. If they keep moving and you miss, you obviously kill slower, but as you can see, I know it's not the new Hammered In or anything, but that's not a terrible kill speed right there. Not a terrible kill speed at all. And you could do this just as easy without Enigma and without these. You can just run out here, a couple of non-ethereal Lacerators, real cheap. Really, everything here is super cheap you could go ahead and do. Just get rid of that Enigma. You wouldn't even have to teleport out here. You can just run. You could, or you could have a Telly Staff or something if you wanted to. That 100% chance to pierce. Look at it rip down. That is players 3, so that's not bad. And then you come out here and you're finding an item. You can use it just on the champions. You can use it on everything. It's up to you. Another good place, Thresh Socket. I have a crazy Thresh Socket map if you wanted to run it. Boom, Thresh Socket down. Use find item. You can move on. So you can see the kill speed is really not too shabby on this character. We'll go ahead and hop into a slightly more dangerous area to cast Sanctuary. I'm not worrying about full clear. So we'll just come in here and take out a mob or two just to kind of show you. And this is players 3. Hitting the champion. Hitting this guy. When you get the ones that don't move, that's when you can really show the actual kill speed. I'm not really playing it optimal here, but monsters, when they're running away, can be annoying. And that is a problem of the Lacerator here with a hit causing monsters to flee 50%. So if you don't want monsters to be fleeing, you could go ahead and throw on the War Strikes and some of the other stuff. But if you don't mind them running away, if you want the amp damage, or even if you're not teleporting around, if you don't have the Heart of the Oaks on swap, you could be switching stuff if you wanted to. So that's the Lacerators, and I went ahead and threw on the War Strikes and the Demon Arches so the monsters won't be running away. You see the Novas going off from the War Strike, and the kill speed is not that much different. I would say it's the same, for doing something like this, if not possibly even faster, because you aren't going to be missing as much. As the monsters are running away, it does cause you a little bit of a struggle to hit them, and if you're not hitting them, you're not really doing a lot of damage, are you? So that's why sometimes I think maybe I did do a proc barb version of this with dual war strikes. Very fun build. I'll go ahead and put a link in the description actually to that, because you don't get the monsters running away, you get novas everywhere. On top of that, it's proccing a bunch of twisters, there's meteors raining down, there's frozen orbs flying out, there's frost novas going off, there's regular novas going off. Real fun build. I'll throw a link in the description to check that out. But see, this is a Players 3 Chaos Sanctuary, and it holds its own perfectly fine. And you see, standing at a distance, most of the time, you're not even really getting hit. Depending how safe you play it, how quick you play it, you're not ever really going to get touched. So yeah, that's the throw barb. If you end up using it, let me know down in the comments. Let me know the different little quirks or different little things that you do when you build your throw barb. There's a lot of different things you could do with it. So hey, peace out, fellas, and keep slaying.